Hello everyone, hope you're having a wonderful day. In today's episode, we'll discover what happens after baby Anna spends 7 terrifying days in the hospital with a high fever. Will she really be safe when she finally comes home? And how will this change Jack and Tu Tien's little family? If you enjoy this story, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next videos. The night at the small hospital feels longer than any road they've ever driven. Neon lights buzz softly over the pediatric ward. The air smells like disinfectant and warm porridge. Jack and Tu Tien stand beside the bed where Anna lies, cheeks flushed, eyes glassy, a tiny IV taped to her hand. Every now and then she coughs, a low, rough sound that makes her whole body tense. A young doctor in a white coat finishes checking her chart and looks up at them. Her fever is high, but her lungs are clear, he explains, voice calm. This is viral fever. It spreads fast, but with proper treatment and monitoring, most children recover well. How long does she need to stay? Jack asks, throat tight. At least 7 days, the doctor replies. We'll give her antiviral meds, fever reducers, nebulizer if needed. You stay with her, watch her fluids, her breathing. If anything changes, we're right here. 7 days. The number lands in their chests like a weight, not a few hours, not observe and go home. A full week of plastic chairs, thin mattresses, and the hum of machines. But they nod. What else can they do? When the doctor leaves, a nurse comes in with a small cup of syrup and a tiny spoon. Medicine time, she says gently. She may fight a little. Anna definitely fights. She turns her head away, lips pressed tight. Tears fill her eyes before the spoon even touches her mouth. Hey, it's okay, Jack croons, holding her upright. This is the yucky stuff that helps you feel better, remember? Tu Tien kisses her hair, voice low, steady. Just a little con, then you can rest. Slowly, in small sips, they get the bright syrup in. She cries, coughs, then finally leans against Tu Tien's chest, exhausted. That first night, the ward is a mix of whispers and distant beeps. Other children toss and whimper in their beds. Worried parents sit hunched over phones and cups of instant coffee. Jack and Tu Tien take turns. When Anna dozes, Jack steps out to the hallway, stretching stiff shoulders, splashing water on his face in the bathroom sink. Then he comes back in and offers the chair to Tu Tien. You lie down for a bit, he says. I'll watch her. On that thing, she snorts, eyeing the narrow cot. No thanks, we share the pain. In the end, they compromise. Jack sits in the plastic chair by the bed. Tu Tien lies half-curled on the cot, one hand still resting on Anna's ankle so she can feel every shift, every twitch. Every time the monitor beeps a little louder, or Anna coughs in her sleep, both of them jolt awake instantly. Around 2 in the morning, the fever spikes again. Jack feels it first when he presses his palm to her forehead. The heat isn't as shocking as the first time, but it's climbing. He calls the nurse. She comes with the thermometer, confirms the number, then brings another dose of medicine and a cool compress. Anna cries when they place the wet cloth on her head, but slowly, gradually, her breathing eases. Her eyelids flutter. You're strong, Jack whispers, stronger than both of us combined. Day melts into night and back into day. The next morning, sunlight slides in through the high window, turning dust motes into tiny, floating stars. Anna's fever dips a little. She manages to drink some warm water and a few spoonfuls of thin rice porridge that the hospital provides. Just a bit, Tu Tien encourages. One more spoon and we rest. They learn a new rhythm. Morning, Doctor rounds, temperature checks, medicine schedule. They write everything down on a scrap of paper taped above the bed. 6 a.m. temp, 8 a.m. meds, 10 a.m. porridge, 12 p.m. nebulizer if needed. Afternoon, short walks in the corridor with Anna in their arms when she's strong enough just to see something besides the same white ceiling. Evening, washing her face with a warm cloth, changing her into a clean, soft onesie, singing songs from home to drown out the sounds of coughs and machines around them. When Jack's mother, Mother Loy, calls, her voice immediately cracks. "How is she?" "Fever's lower today," Jack answers, glancing at his daughter. "Doctor says we just have to keep going. It's viral. No antibiotics, just time and care." "I'll bring food tomorrow," she insists. "You two need to eat properly if you want to stay awake all night." True to her word, the next day she appears with containers of homemade porridge, braised meat, and sliced fruit. She sits by Anna's bed for a while, stroking the baby's hair with rough fingers. "You scared us," she scolds gently. "Next time, just cry a little less and get well faster, okay?" Anna's only answer is a small, tired blink, but the corners of her mouth twitch almost like a ghost of her usual grin. Some nights Jack steps out to the hospital balcony with a paper cup of coffee, looking up at the sky. It's not as dark here as at the farm. City lights blur the stars. But he can't help thinking about the night view over Ha Long Bay, the boats like fireflies, the water quietly breathing. He takes a slow breath, letting the memory steady him. "We made it through worse," he reminds himself. "We'll make it through this too." In the ward, days 3 and 4 are the hardest. The fever hovers, not as fierce as at the start, but unwilling to completely leave. Anna grows irritable, exhausted by coughing and meds and the endless pokes and prods. Sometimes she cries just because the blanket folds the wrong way. Sometimes she clings to Tu Tien's shirt and refuses to let go even when she's too tired to keep her eyes open. At night, when she finally drifts off, Jack and Tu Tien sit shoulder to shoulder on the single narrow bed, backs against the wall, legs dangling. "You can sleep," he tells her. "I'll watch." "If I sleep, I dream about monitors," she answers. "Might as well stare at the real thing." They share a quiet laugh that isn't really funny, but it keeps them from breaking. On day 5, something shifts. The thermometer shows a lower number. Her cough softens. Anna manages to sit up for a few minutes and play weakly with the paper crane the receptionist at the hotel had given her on that last trip. The little souvenir they tossed into the diaper bag without thinking. "Look at you," Jack says, eyes shining. "You still remember how to be picky about toys." She taps the crane against his nose and lets out a small, hoarse giggle. For the first time in days, the knot in his chest loosens. By day 6, the doctor smiles when he comes by. "Much better," he says, listening to her chest. "Fever nearly gone."
"Another day under observation, then you can take her home if everything stays stable." "Home," Tu Tien repeats, like it's the sweetest word she's ever said. They don't sleep much that night either, not because of fear this time, but because they're watching for confirmation, counting hours without fever, checking her breath even when she's just snoring softly. Jack holds her tiny hand in his, amazed by how much strength can live in such a small body. "Almost there, Anna," he whispers. "One more night. Then we go back to our own bed, our own kitchen, our own crazy little life." Morning on the 7th day feels different the moment Jack opens his eyes. The ward still looks the same. White walls, thin curtains, humming lights. But when he leans over Anna's bed, he knows something has changed.
Her cheeks are only a soft pink now, not the burning red that haunted him all week. Her breathing is slow and even, tiny chest rising and falling like it finally remembers how to rest. He presses his palm to her forehead and freezes. 2, he whispers. No fever. On the narrow cot, Tu Tien jerks awake, hair messy, eyes swollen from too many half-nights. You're sure? She croaks. Jack lifts the thermometer they've checked 100 times this week. The number is finally normal. Not almost. Not wait and see. Just normal. For a second, neither of them speaks. Then they both let out a shaky breath they did not know they were holding. Later that morning, the doctor steps in with his chart and stethoscope. He listens to Anna's chest, taps her back, checks her throat, then glances up with a small, relieved smile. Lungs are clear, he says. Fever's gone, cough is improving. If everything stays like this until afternoon, she can go home. 7 more days of medicine, lots of fluids, not too many visitors. Home, Tu Tien repeats quietly, as if the word might shatter if she says it too loud. You two need rest as much as she does, the doctor adds gently. Once she's well, she won't let you sit down. The last few hours feel longer than the whole week. Every little cough makes them tense. Every temperature check feels like an exam. But the numbers stay steady. Her breathing stays calm. By early afternoon, a nurse comes in with a small bundle of medicine and a form to sign. We'll remove this now, she says, touching the tape on Anna's tiny hand. The IV comes out. Anna whimpers, more offended than hurt. The little red mark it leaves behind is a quiet reminder of everything they have just lived through. Jack kisses the spot. You're stronger than both of us, he murmurs. Stepping out of the hospital feels like stepping into another world. After days of neon lights and disinfectant, the sky looks too blue, the street too bright. Motorbikes roar past, vendors shout about hot soup, the air smells of dust and food instead of medicine. They strap Anna carefully between them on the bike, just like the night they rushed her in. This time, her body is heavy because she is sleepy, not sick. Jack rides slowly, hugging every turn. When the familiar lane to their little house finally appears, his chest loosens for the first time in days. The dogs hear the engine and explode into noise. Vang runs circles around the bike, nails skidding on the wet dirt. Miu appears on the wall, tail twitching, pretending she has not been waiting at the gate all week. We're home, Jack says, softly, lifting Anna into his arms and carrying her inside. First thing, they give her a warm bath, washing away the hospital smell. She is still weak, but when the water runs over her arms, she lets out a small, surprised giggle. They wrap her in a soft towel, dress her in a clean onesie that smells like sun and soap, then lay her in their own bed. No machines, no wires, just their daughter in the familiar light of their bedroom. I'll be back soon, Jack says quietly. Where are you going? Tu Tien asks, still sitting on the edge of the bed, one hand resting on Anna's leg, like she's afraid to let go. Quick mission, he smiles, grabbing his keys. You'll see. In town, he stops at a small toy shop he has driven past 100 times and never entered. Inside, shelves are packed with noisy, colourful things. He walks straight to the dolls. Row after row of Barbie faces stare back at him through shiny plastic. For a moment, he flashes back to the emergency corridor, the sound of his own heartbeat, the taste of fear. Then he focuses on the dolls again and picks one in a simple pink dress with kind eyes. If we survived that week, he thinks, She deserves to worry about doll clothes, not fevers. He pays, lets the shopkeeper add a tiny plastic tea set for later, and heads home. By the time he steps back through the door, the sun has softened. The house smells of rice and ginger. In the kitchen, pots clink as Tu Tien reheats soup, moving quietly so she can hear any sound from the bedroom. "How is she?" Jack asks. "Still sleeping," she answers. "I keep checking, just to be sure." He lifts the bag. "For when she wakes up." They do not have to wait long. A small cough and the rustle of sheets pull them both into the room. Anna blinks awake, eyes clearer than they have been in days, scanning the ceiling, the curtain, her mother's face. "My daughter," Tu Tien whispers, stroking her hair. "You're home now?" Jack sits on the edge of the bed and pulls out the box. "Bar brought you a friend," he says softly. The bright packaging catches Anna's attention immediately. Her little hand reaches out, clumsy but determined. Jack opens the box and sets the doll in her lap. "This is Barbie," he explains. "She doesn't poke you, and she doesn't make you drink medicine. She just wears pretty dresses and goes on adventures with you." Anna studies the doll, fingers tugging at the shiny hair, crumpling the pink skirt. Then she hugs Barbie to her chest and leans back against the pillow with a small, tired smile. That one smile makes every sleepless night worth it. For the first time in days, Jack and Tu Tien truly breathe. In this small room, normal life feels possible again at last, today. After 7 exhausting days in the pediatric ward, Jack and Tu Tien finally hear the words they've been praying for. Anna's fever is gone and she can go home. Leaving behind neon lights and disinfectant, they carry her back to the warmth of their little farmhouse, wash away the hospital smell with a gentle bath, and lay her in her own bed again. While Anna sleeps, Jack slips into town on a secret mission and returns with a special gift, her very first Barbie doll. When Anna wakes, she hugs the doll to her chest with a tired smile, and the weight of the last week slowly lifts from her parents' hearts. Life doesn't instantly return to normal, but now every ordinary moment at home feels precious, and Jack and Tu Tien quietly promise to protect that fragile piece together.